Welcome, all my fellow Washington brethren and sistren. I am your man and resident Washington football team fan, Luke. Thank you for joining me here on the Washington Football Report. It's Monday, August 16th. More training camp action or more practice. Training camp is officially over once the preseason gets underway. So training camp is done, but we are now in the core of the practice week, preparing for week 2 of the preseason versus the Cincinnati Bengals, home opener in the preseason for the Washington football team. That will be taking place on Friday night. Let's talk about some house cleaning first before we get to some tidbits from practice and some words from after practice. So house cleaning starts with Curtis Samuel. Never, ever trust a man with 2 first names who was activated off of the PUP list just yesterday. Some corresponding moves made with Kelvin Harmon and Lamar Miller, among others, getting released. Samuel did not practice in individual reps like he did yesterday. Ron said after practice that was a precautionary measure taken because of the rain. We'll talk about the rain a little bit later on. But wanted to just make sure he was in a safe spot in terms of not doing too much with the rain in the field and slipping. He said the field, Ron did, was in great condition, though. They put the new drainage system in the practice fields and in the stadium. And so he said really weren't a lot of guys falling out there, and but they didn't want to take any chances. So he was working off on the side field and no individual work for Curtis Samuel. Benjamin St-Juste getting work with the ones. So what we're seeing now in practice, and this is the second day in a row I've heard a lot of this, and we've seen this in training camp, and I think it's starting to get to a point, and this is why I put out the Ron's Plan video today, because it is, to me, apt to go with this conversation that we're currently having right now. Ron's plan is in full effect. I don't know if you guys see it or not, and I keep trying to explain to you what it is, and hopefully you watch that video and you understand what exactly Ron is trying to do. He is trying to get all of these young guys up to speed, because whenever we get that quarterback, and it could happen this year with Ryan Fitzpatrick, who's to say? I don't think that's going to be the case. Ron is thinking for maybe 2 more years down the road, but whenever that time comes, it could be next year if we get Aaron Rodgers or some veteran like that, they could potentially put us over the top. He wants these young guys to be ready. That's the essence of Ron's plan, is to have these young players play as soon as possible, because the only way they can be ready is if they've got game experience. It's hard for guys to learn without actually playing. So Benjamin St-Juste, I said all of that to say this. Benjamin St-Juste, they didn't draft this kid just like Samuel Cosmi. They didn't draft these kids, Jamin Davis. They didn't draft these kids to sit on the sidelines and learn. You know how we always talk about, oh man, you get a veteran and you allow the veteran to teach the young guy, and then when his turn comes, he should be ready. No, Ron is ready to get these boys in, not immediately, immediately. We're talking week 1 status, okay? Benjamin St-Juste is looking like he's poised to start opposite of William Jackson outside, with Kendall Fuller manning up the slot. That's where we're trending, folks, okay? Second day in a row at practice, Benjamin St-Juste has been taking a large quantity of reps at the other corner opposite of William Jackson, with Kendall Fuller sliding inside. And this is something we've talked about all training camp long, but we said, as fans, we like to come up with these things that make too much sense, but the organization and the staff may not see it the same way. Well, this is one thing we've gotten right, because we said from day one, Benjamin St-Juste is not a nickel. Benjamin St-Juste is strictly a boundary corner. And Kendall Fuller, when he was here the first time, was one of the best and one of the premier nickel corners in the league. And they're sliding him inside to the slot. They love his ability to play inside. He can still give you reps outside if you need it. Ron loves that positional flex. So I'm just telling you right now, Benjamin St-Juste is on track to be getting a ton of snaps come week 1 against the Chargers outside, with Kendall Fuller manning up inside. I'm getting excited. Again, we got to see what St-Juste is able to do. He's going to take some lumps. He's going to give up some things, but he is tough. He's gritty, and everything underneath is going to be challenged with this kid. So I'm excited about seeing how this all turns out. second straight day, we've talked about the left guard position. Remember, I declared that there was no battle to be had. Okay, nothing to see here. Keep it moving. And then I had to come back yesterday and pretty much tell you that there was an error on my part. Okay, mistakes were made, and that there is in fact a left guard battle. And for the second straight day, left guard featured Eric Flowers with the number ones to start practice. So again, I don't know if this is just breadcrumbs being dropped by Ron to let us know that Flowers will be getting the start in week 2 in the preseason versus the Cincinnati Bengals, which in my mind, I've already said Flowers is going to get the start. Now, how many reps does he get? Do we see what we saw last week with, Wes Schweitzer starting the game and then Flowers immediately coming in on the second possession and then flip-flopping? So do we see Flowers this time start with the ones on the opening possession of the game, only to have Wes Schweitzer come in on the second possession? I think the starters are going to play more in week 2, obviously. So I think you're going to see at least a full quarter out of them, if not a quarter and some change. Just depends on how well they play and how well they move the football. And so will we see a mixture of those two? Or will we just see Eric Flowers taking the bulk and lion's share of the reps, which would tell us they're trending in the direction of him starting at left guard over Wes Schweitzer? We'll see. But for the second straight day, Eric Flowers taking a step towards getting the nod at left guard, at least for the upcoming game. I think that's the only position on the offensive line now. Remember, I told you that the only position that was up for grabs was right tackle, and I told you Sam Cosmi essentially had that sewn up like a tailor, and we harken back to Ron's plan. Ron and company want to see Sam Cosmi on the field. So as long as Samuel Cosmi doesn't go up there and vomit all over himself, which he did not in the first game, he's going to start at right tackle. That's a foregone conclusion at this point. As long as he's healthy, he'll be the starting right tackle for this team. Now there is another position up for grabs. So still 4 out of 5, except it's not right tackle. It's rather left guard that's up for grabs. We'll see what happens. I think this is going to be a huge week of practice and a huge game that will go a long way in determining who will be the starter come week 1 versus the Chargers. David Sharp still on the COVID list. Okay, COVID-19 list. It's interesting because I still think they're going to keep 10. And the reason I bring up David Sharp and Casey Toohill, who was out of practice again, did not play in the game on Thursday night, he's giving an opportunity to those young boys to potentially keep him off the roster. The longer he stays out, the more opportunities he gives to William Bradley King and Shaka Toney, the more likely it is one of these young boys are able to unseat him for one of those, that final, I think they're only keeping 4 defensive ends at this current juncture, for that final defensive end spot. That'll be interesting to see if they keep 4 or 5. I'm thinking they're keeping 4 right now, but we will see. Toohill being out for this extended period of time and missing the game is only giving more confidence and reps to those young guys. And then Tamarick Hemingway still out, concussion protocol. I assume he'll be out for probably the entire week, miss the game, and then maybe we'll see him at some point next week. That could be one of the reasons that Washington signed tight end Caleb Wilson, who was here last year. So no reason to get excited. Some people are already sending me tweets. Oh, we signed Caleb Wilson. We had this dude already. Don't get excited. He won't be here for very long. He's just a camp body. With Tamarick Hemingway being out, they need another tight end. So they're bringing in another guy to help them get through practice. Don't read too much into this, okay? He's not coming here and taking a roster spot from anybody. So they still already have Nick Gugamos. They'll probably release Nick Gugamos. Maybe that's why they're signing Caleb Wilson, because they feel like they need to get more out of the guys that they have. I don't know. We'll see. Bottom line is, don't talk to me about Caleb Wilson, okay? He's not going to be here for very long. Similar to how I told you, look, unless it's a break in case of an emergency situation, Lamar Miller won't see the field. What happened last year? Lamar Miller didn't see the field, okay? Same thing here with Caleb Wilson. He won't be here very long, okay? So don't get all worked up about us bringing in Caleb Wilson, okay? So with all of that said, this is what it looks like on the offensive side. I think they're ultimately going to settle in on 26. The question was, do they keep 25, 26, or 27 players on the offensive side of the football? Now, obviously, it's a direct correlation and effect to the defensive side of the football. So it's cause and effect. If you keep 25, then you're keeping 25 on defense. If you keep 26 offensive players, then you're keeping 24 on defense. If you keep 27 players on offense, then you're only allowed to keep 23 because you have to keep 3 spots for your specialists: snapper, holder, or place kicker and punter. So I think it's going to be, you really would love it to be 25, 25, 3. But I think it's going to be 26, 24, 3. 26 offensive players, 24 defensive players, 3 specialists. And my breakdown is going to, I think, look like this. Now, again, we still got time to play around with this. We got 2 full preseason games before things really get interesting. Washington has to make their next 3 cuts. Their roster right now sits at 88 players. They've got to trim it down to 85. So expect 3 more cuts tomorrow to get it down to the league mandated 85. We'll see what they decide to do. It won't be anybody of note. The guys that are noteworthy happened yesterday. Guys like Nick Gugamos and maybe an offensive lineman you've never heard of, weren't paying attention to, and one of these receivers might get cut. Somebody that you're not even thinking about. So don't worry about it. It won't be anybody noteworthy. That said, I've got 10 offensive linemen because I think David Sharp, once he gets off of COVID, and he was out stretching it on the field, so he's getting very close to being back in action. I think he's going to make the football team. I think they're going to keep 10 offensive linemen like they did last season. I think they're going to keep 3 quarterbacks. I think it's a pretty safe assumption to make. Same with the tight end position. You're going to keep 3 there as well. I think that's a really safe assumption to make. I think running back is interesting. I initially had 3. I'm going with 4 now. And receiver, it was crazy talk for a minute there of 7 receivers. There's no way they're keeping 7 receivers. 6 receivers is the maximum amount they're keeping, and that's the number I'm going with. So when you put that all together, you got 10 offensive linemen, 6 receivers, and 4 running backs. That's 20 right there. Then you got 3 quarterbacks and 3 tight ends for a grand total of 26. Now we'll get into the specifics of who's who down the road, but that's what I think it's ultimately going to be when we start talking about a numbers game. We'll see if that happens. So let's talk about practice real quick. Not a lot of takeaways from practice today because it was wet. Rain was a big part of practice today. It wasn't out of control rain like it was early in practice. It did slow down a bit, but it was constant. It was steady rain. Ron said this is something we'll probably going to have to play in at some point during the season. The elements are a part of the game, so wanted the guys to stay out there. It wasn't a practice where we couldn't get anything done and needed to go into the bubble. Guys weren't losing their footing, so it was something that we could practice through, push through. Guys need to be able to experience that because we will have at least one game more likely than not. Well, there will be some inclement weather. Hell, we had a little bit. It wasn't major. It wasn't anything really to talk about, but it did rain in New England on Thursday night. It was a little bit of a drizzle. It wasn't much, but it was enough that they hadn't practiced in rain most of training camp at all. So, it just gave them a different look, did the rain today. So, Fitz had a strong practice today. He did throw 1 interception, a one-handed interception by Benjamin St-Juste in the end zone, trying to get the football to Terry. A great play by Juice. But outside of that, Fitz was in total command today, had a great 2-minute drive. The timing and the rhythm of the offense is really starting to come together. Ron was very complimentary of that after practice. Terry McLaurin, same deal. He spoke to the media after practice, said that this offense is really starting to take shape, and Fitz is really starting to put a stranglehold on his leadership with this offense. And everything's starting to really mesh and gel. And so all of these are good things. They're good signs. I was really impressed with Fitz. As you would expect, Fitz can play the quarterback position. That there's never been any doubt about that. The question is consistency, okay? There will be wow moments where you go, man, that's a hell of a throw. Like the throw to Logan Thomas. That was a hell of a throw, okay? Then there'll be some times where you go, what in the hell was that? What were you thinking? Why did you think that was a good idea to do that? So Fitz had a strong practice. That's what we want to hear. After having a struggle of it yesterday, where the offense was dominated by the defense to the tune of 6 or 7 picks, the offense bounced back today, had a strong practice. Fitz led the way. Kyle Allen update real quick. So Ron talked about Kyle Allen. This was his 2nd straight practice. Remember, he practiced yesterday, practiced again today, and no ill effects, no setbacks. Ron said if he continues on this track with no setbacks and continues to feel good, he will play on Friday night in preseason game number 2 versus Cincinnati, which is news to our ears because, again, I don't think the receivers can get adequate work once we start going into the third string. I don't think you can get adequate work after Fitz and Heineke if you got Steven Montez in the game. I really feel like Steven Montez stunts the growth of the rest of the offense. We need Kyle Allen in there to continue to run this offense in a professional manner, which gives guys opportunities that if they get open, they're going to get the football. If they run their route at the proper depth, the ball will be there. We need to see that. So hopefully he's able to stay healthy. Ron has already said if he's healthy, and I think Ron said that in his mind thinking, please be ready because we really want to take a look at these other guys and you give us the best shot to do that once we get towards, the third quarter and into the second half of this ball game. It'll really make the rest of the game watchable because it felt almost unwatchable with Steven Montez in there. And I know some of you are like, hey, you didn't play that bad. That's fine. Good. You can keep watching number 6. I'm done. I don't need to see any more of it, okay? Never wanted to see it in the first place. So we'll see what happens there. But that's, in a nutshell, what happened at practice today. And Trace Way also spoke, and he kind of clarified the whole process of the snap, hold, and the kick. And he said he acknowledged it is off. They're still adjusting. It was the first game. And so they're making me feel more and more comfortable. I know a lot of you don't want to hear it and don't care. And I totally get it. I understand. But it is something that these guys have to work through. It is a thing. Okay, as much as we want to dismiss it because he missed kicks last year and he's missing them again now, it is a thing. They do have to adjust. It is something that does affect the process when you have a new snapper, so we're going to see how this plays out. I'm a Dustin Hopkins guy, so when they give me plausible excuses, I'm a dummy. I'm going to fall for them hook, line, sinker because I want my guy to work out, okay? But the patience is running thin. I'm not going to lie. And I know I've read the comments. A lot of you don't care. Don't care about process. Don't care about a new long snapper. Don't give a shit about any of that stuff. You want a new kicker in here. I'm telling you right now, it's not happening as of right now. Okay? Now, I can't say what will happen down the road. But right now, Dustin Hopkins is as safe as he was when training camp first began. Okay? So we'll see what happens. I'm rooting for Dustin. Start making these kicks. You guys get on the same damn page so this stuff can end. We need these kicks to go through the uprights. We'll see what happens. But in any event, that's going to do it for me, your man Louie T. I am a Washington fan, etched in burgundy and gold. My Washington spirit will never die. Washington spirit will never fold. Until we meet again, hail to our beloved Washington football team. Remember, if you're out there and you're watching this video and you haven't subscribed to the Louie T Network, what are you waiting on? Turn on that notification bell after you subscribe to the Louie T Network for more great content so you don't miss a thing. That notification bell is going to save you and keep you abreast of what's going on here on the Louie T Network when I go live, when I have an upload, things of that nature. And also hit the like button as that helps this channel grow exponentially. I can't stress that enough. Please, please, please hit the like button. That really helps this channel grow. So with that said, I'm going to get out of here, glide to the side, get off the bench, get in the game, and kick it with me, your man Louie T. Until next time, you guys continue to support the Louie T Network. Make sure you comment. If you've got something that you want to say, leave it down in the comment section. Anything that we've talked about today you think is something that you need to comment on, leave it down in the comment section. I see every single one of them. Until next time, I'm your man Louie T. You guys have a good one.
LouieTeeNetwork.